Hello again, and welcome to Helios Gaming Blog Part 2. This is the part where we give 10 good minutes to each game in question. Starting off with Tom Clancy's EndWar. It is a RTS game being developed by Ubisoft Shanghai. It is being developed for the 360, the PS3, the PSP, and the Nintendo DS, with the PC port also following soon after. And it is an RTS game set in World War III. EndWar's conflict will be the third and last world war between the three superpowers in the near future: Russia, United States, and Europe. The basic storyline is that the European Union and the United States will develop a missile shield called the Space Land Air Missile Shield, or SLAMS, and that is so sophisticated that it brings an end to global thermonuclear war, or at least the concept of it. In 2015, though, which this game takes place in the near future, it is discovered that oil companies had overstated the amount of recoverable oil reserves, and this causes a huge energy crisis, which culminates in a nuclear war in the Middle East between Iran and Saudi Arabia, Russia becoming the world's #1 supplier of crude oil and having its economy revitalized, and most of the nations of Western Europe banding together to form a new nation-state called the European Federation. Afterwards, the United States and the European Federation begin an arms race similar to that of the Cold War, with the goal being the militarization of space. Now, for your daily dose of space trivia, the militarization of space is nothing new. Everyone has heard probably of the Strategic Defense Initiative, aka Star Wars, which is an American plan to put orbital battle stations in space. That's been in and out of Congress a million times. It's always been vetoed. The Soviets had put military cruising on a couple of their space stations, and the space shuttle has flown several missions for the Department of Defense. So anyway, this culminates in 2018 with the launch of the Freedom Star space station, the beginning of the construction of the space station that, while designed for scientific research and development, will house 3 companies of the U.S. Marines that can be deployed to anywhere on the Earth within 90 minutes. International reaction is incredibly negative, and so in 2020, when the final module is being launched, it comes to no surprise that terrorists at the launch site. And this caused tensions to build between the 3 superpowers, and, ready or not, it's World War III. Water. Very good. Very healthy. Always drink 1 glass a day. So anyway, in this particular installment of EndWar, of course, it's World War III. It's a global conflict, but in this particular installment, you'll be focusing on the North Atlantic theater of battle, mainly in battles in Europe, Russia, and North America. But you'll also be hearing reports from other parts of the world. It has been suggested that this game will be serving as a tie-in with other Tom Clancy games, namely the latest games in the Rainbow Six series and the Ghost Recon series. These games mainly being the Rainbow Six Vegas games and the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, or GRAW games. For the tie-ins, there will be spoilers here, as I'm explaining to you now, so if you have not played these games yet, I highly suggest you turn off your sound for a bit here, unless you don't mind hearing the spoilers. For the GRAW tie-in, it has been confirmed that Captain Scott Mitchell will indeed survive the EMP blast at the end of GRAW 2, and he will be a commander for the American forces. For the Rainbow Six tie-in, members of Rainbow Six will be promoted to commanders for the European Federation. And for the Splinter Cell tie-in, it is said that 3rd Echelon will be providing battlefield intelligence along with special units like snipers for the American forces. But what Sam Fish's actual role in this game remains to be seen. Now, in this installment of EndWar, there will be 3 factions, of course: Russia, Europe, and America. So there will be 3 playable factions. For the Russians, you have the Russian Spetsnaz Guards Brigade. They're composed of veterans of Russia's many regional conflicts, and they specialize in heavy weapons and heavy armor, not surprisingly. For the European Federation, you have the European Federation Forces Corps. They are made up of veteran elite counter-terrorist and peacekeeping forces from throughout Europe, like Rainbow, and they are very skilled in urban warfare. Their weaponry may not be as precise as those of the may not be the most precise, and their units won't be as armored as other units, but their strength will lie in electronic and non-lethal warfare, and they'll be using non-lethal weapons technology and direct energy weapons. And for the United States, we have the United States Joint Strike Force, which again is led by Ghost Leader Scott Mitchell. The JSF is modeled after today's Marine Expeditionary unit, and it is composed of small, fast, and light units that can pack a precise punch, and they're made up of elite soldiers from all branches of the U.S. military, and they specialize in having state-of-the-art stealth technology and battlefield robotics like UAVs and automated sentry drones. And also, it's been confirmed that in the single-player campaign, which lets you train for, which not only helps you train for the larger global campaign, but also kind of tells the story as to how the whole war began, you will be playing as Ghost Leader Scott Mitchell, kicking some ass. So, one of the biggest features of this game will be the massively multiplayer online real-time strategy feature. So, what will happen is that you will choose a faction, you'll be engaging in combat with players from opposing sides in about 40 battlefields spanning North America, Russia, and Europe, and this will contribute to your side's overall success and change the different lines on the map. You will have your own personal character, and each day on the front lines of the overall war will be reset based on smaller battles that have taken place. Before each match, there will be a briefing telling you what your objectives are, and what the consequences are for success and failure, and so on and so forth. And now there can be hundreds of battles that last an indefinite amount of time in a single territory, the victor being the side that is most effective. Now there are plans to include, of course, recordings of your best battles. There will be multiple ways apparently to initiate new battles on occupied countries, like a D-Day style invasion of France, landings in Northern Europe, a mass invasion of Siberia through Alaska, and so on. And if one faction completely defeats the others, then developers can create a new scenario based on previous outcome and start the war all over again. Now, there will be 7 types of units for direct command: riflemen, engineers, tanks, transports, gunships, including tilt-rotor aircraft, artillery, command vehicles, and my personal favorite, orbital weapons. Now, the cool thing about EndWar is that every single piece of technology and weaponry used in EndWar is currently either being researched and developed by the military, or is being made into working prototypes. In fact, some of these technologies that you will see in EndWar are actually in use right now. They're not making anything up here. Everything is based on as much fact and knowledge as possible here. There will be it says that you won't be controlling a single person. You'll be controlling several units, and they will gain more effectiveness with experience in battle. So it's almost like a Pokemon-like ownership of your units, and you will be able to personalize them and customize them, and you change the abilities, so on and so forth. Now, also the response rules here is also taking things to the next level. There are about 40,000 lines of dialogue, 9,000 of which are unit chatter, and that will give its battalion its own personality almost. Each unit will have a specific voice to help the player recognize instantly which one is in danger. And again, you will not be controlling individual soldiers, but much larger platoons and companies. And the soldiers will behave pretty realistically, apparently, using stealth and military tactics. And veterans will act based on experience previous battles. So, send them to cover, and they'll be taking pot shots from behind buildings. If a soldier is hurt, they'll be dragged back by their squads. If at the command building, they'll kick down the door and go in, guns blazing, all that stuff. And possibly the coolest feature about this game is that this game is the first RTS game that can be controlled entirely by your voice. If you have a headset for the console version of the game, and there are several voice commands you can give them, and if you want, you can control the entire game with your voice, which I think is pretty cool here. EndWar is scheduled to be released on October 14th for Europe and October 15th for the United States. This is for the console version. There's been no release date set for the PC version as of now.